evening and welcome to our University of Lincoln accommodation takeover this evening. You will have seen there that our introduction of our amazing accommodation that we have here at Lincoln. I just want to say hi to all of our viewers already, Travis, Joshua, Kira, Lucy. I'm incredibly excited that you are joining us in September as well. And I hope this evening when we go and visit Harriet and Vicky, you'll be able to see where you're planning to live as well. So this evening, it is purely around having a look at some of our amazing accommodation we have, asking any questions that you have around accommodation, because at this point in the year, it's usually when you choose your accommodation if you haven't done already, and we can give you some tips and tell you where you can choose and some of the bits of advice that you'll need about moving in. So thank you very much, everybody. You've already started in the chat all of the things that I would ask you to do. Tell us what you're planning on studying when you come to us, where you're planning on living, and where you're currently viewing from. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Harriet into the chat and let her tell me where she is currently.
Hello, thank you, Emma. Yes, so a big warm welcome. Thank you so much for all joining us at the live lounge this evening. We're really excited to be here and walk you through some of our accommodations. So I am based in Signet Wharf, which is our first year only accommodation right on the Brayford waterfront. And this is located right next to Lincoln Court. So if you have had a little visit to campus and a wander around, then maybe you sort of know where Signet Wharf is, which is great. So after we've looked around Signet Wharf, we'll go to Vicky in 179 High Street. And that's nice, it's going to give you a feel for two different accommodations that we have. Hopefully, or maybe a few of you have joined us on a live lounge before or a virtual event, and then you would have seen St. Mark's. And if you haven't, then I really encourage you to pop back over to the channels after this and have a look, because you'll be able to see St. Mark's as well in the same sort of format as we are now. So at Lincoln, we are extremely lucky with the accommodation offering that we have. We have a really nice variety of accommodation across a range of budgets, and we really try to cater to everyone as much as we can. So hopefully you will find something that suits you and you can make Lincoln your new home from home. We have over 4,300 rooms, and that includes en-suites, shared bathrooms, and also studio rooms. Accommodation is guaranteed for all first-year students. So if you're maybe still deciding if Lincoln's the right choice for you, or you haven't yet booked your accommodation, please do not worry. You'll 100% get a room with us, and there's still plenty of time to book. And then after that, if you love your room and you love staying with us, then you're more than welcome to stay throughout all years of study. We love having you stay with us. We really encourage that if it works for you. So as I said, we are in Signet Wharf right now, and this is one of the communal rooms. Now, this is a slightly smaller flat, so you'll see that the communal space is a little bit smaller to accommodate that. And across the board, that is always the case. So the more students that are staying in the apartment, the more rooms that are here, the bigger the communal space and facilities will be. Slightly different to some of our accommodation, with Signet Wharf, there's this island style sort of seating and dining area. And as we pan round to the back, you'll see that there are stools for the communal eating and living side, as opposed to a traditional table and chair. Now, with the larger apartment sizes, the way that the design works is that this island goes straight down the middle, and then your living area is at this end, with the two cabinets on either side. Let you get a pan of that. And then the way the apartments work is that there are two corridors, so a door either side, and you sort of got like a 6 to 8 bed on one side and the same on the other, but sharing that nice communal kitchen. The kitchens come fully equipped, as you can see. So you will all have a cleaning cupboard. And in there, you get an ironing board, hoover, mop bucket. So it's just the actual cleaning supplies that you need, but the main equipment is there. We also supply the kettles, so they come already there. But things like pots and pans, you will need to buy yourself and bring. So what we recommend is, as it gets close to the summer, we will start sending you out some emails and putting things on our social media and blog, which talks through what equipment you need to buy and bring with you and what's provided. So keep an eye out for that, and it's going to make it a lot easier. It means you're not sort of double buying anything or bringing something that we already have. You then get your ovens, which are nice and self-explanatory. And as I said, if there was a bigger apartment size here, then there would be more than one oven, so that there's plenty to go around. Your sink space and all of your cupboards. And the way it works, we always get students sort of saying, oh, you know, do I get given a cupboard? Do I get set on what space I have? And no, we don't do anything like that. So once you have moved into your accommodation, we really let you sort of make it your own. And it's up to you and your flatmates on how you'd like to divide up the cupboards, whether maybe you say, this is where we're going to put all our bread and pastas, but then we'll have a cupboard each for more specific pieces, or maybe like a seasoning cupboard, however you want to do it, but that is entirely up to you. Don't worry, there is absolutely loads of storage, so you'll 100% get your own cupboard and plenty of space, but it is up to you how you sort of divide it up between you. And then just on the other side of the island, you can see there that there is lots more storage and also another fridge freezer. So this apartment is only 3 beds, and you can really see there is a lot of space to sort of go around. Now, another great thing about living with Lincoln is that in all communal rooms, with the exception of Lincoln Courts, there are TVs. So the university covers the cost of the TV and the license. And then there are things like Netflix, Disney Plus, Now TV, all programmed in. So if you've got an own account, or maybe all your housemates decide that you'd like to get an account together, then that option is there. So that gives you a really nice sort of social feel and a nice spot where you can all get together and hang out after studying and socialise. So that's really nice. So we'll head through to one of the bedrooms now. Now, as I've touched on, this is only a 3-bed apartment. So with these smaller apartments, we use them for students who request a quiet space or a quiet room. When you're booking your accommodation, there will be the option to put down if you've got a preference on your room type. So it might be that you prefer to be in a quiet space, or maybe you've got a preference on where you are in the building. So the middle of a corridor as opposed to near the doors, or maybe higher up or lower down. If you do have a preference, make sure you let us know, and we will try our very best to accommodate to you. The same way, if maybe you're coming with a friend or a sibling and you'd like to be in the same accommodation, please let us know. Unfortunately, we can't make any promises, but we will try our very best to accommodate to you. So we will come into one of the bedrooms now. Now, if you have visited Lincoln before, you've seen any of our other accommodations, you'll start to pick up that a lot of them are very similar. So it tends to be sort of the finish that changes. But in terms of what you get, it is pretty much the same sort of across them all. And that includes things such as your desk and desk chair, your drawers, and then over the desk storage as well, where you can put books or storage boxes, sort of any of the things that you may need. And of course, we really want you to make Lincoln you to decorate the space and make it your own as much as you can. So when you are thinking about packing, consider those home comforts and just things that are going to be able to, make the space feel your own and sort of add your own personality to it. Now, I've mentioned that a lot of our accommodations do look quite similar in terms of layout and what you actually get. There is the exception of Lincoln Courts. So whereas all of our other beds are a 3-quarter with an ensuite, which you'll see in a moment, Lincoln Courts is a single bed with the choice of an ensuite or a shared bathroom. But what we often do find is that the floor space is a little bit more. And Lincoln Courts is really popular for that community feel that it gets, especially with the outdoor social areas and the slightly smaller apartment sizes. So we get a lot of questions about Lincoln Courts. They're the main differences between it, but it's still an amazing accommodation and really popular. And then we have the ensuite here, where you can see you've got a nice sort of bit of storage, a mirror, sink and toilet, and then a nice and spacious shower on the left. Brilliant. So hopefully that gives you a nice idea of what Signet Wharf looks like. As I said, this is one of our smaller apartments, so this is normally allocated to students who have the preference and would like to be in a quieter space. And then after that, the apartment sizes are a little bit bigger and the communal space reflects that. But across the board, the overall design and layout is very similar.
Thank you very much, Harriet. That's amazing. One of the questions that we've had this afternoon is, which is the cheapest accommodation that we have?
Yeah, of course. So Lincoln Courts Value is our most affordable accommodation, and that starts at just over £92 per week for the shared bathroom option.
And obviously that does get, it's probably one of our most popular as well, but you can see how amazing our accommodation is. Loads of people are watching, Harriet, which is great. Not too many questions at the moment. But lots of people that have chosen Lincoln, they have got offers with us. They're doing a whole range of different subjects, which is great. And that's the beauty. You can make friends with your fellow students on your course, but also your housemates as well, which is the beauty of our accommodation.
Absolutely.
What we're going to do now is go over and meet Vicky. Now, Vicky is in one of our other accommodations, and that is what we call 179 High Street, We're going to come back and meet Harriet very shortly after we've met Vicky, so you can see a comparison of our accommodation. So without further ado, we are going to, and thank you, we've got lots of international viewers as well, which is amazing. So we love having you watching us today. And lots of questions now coming through, which we will come back to Harriet and ask those questions. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Vicky, and Vicky is going to give us a bit of a tour of 179 High Street. Over to you, Vicky.
Hello, my name's Vicky and I'm in the 17 High Street show flat. As you can see, we are super close to the centre of campus. I'll come out the way so Kai can get a beautiful shot for you. We are just opposite the Student Union, and in the corner you might be able to see the Brayford waterfront, which you can see, which is close to alongside our campus and really runs through the heart of it. Some great, fantastic views, and you can see all the students coming to and from their lectures. So this accommodation is really close to the centre of campus, and it's only about a 5 or 10 minute walk from where Harriet is currently. So if you have just watched what Harriet has done in Signet Wharf, you can see that the communal area is slightly different. So the sofas are modular sofas. So when you move in, you can pull them apart, make them how you want to, how is best for you and your flatmates when you move in. This is a 5-bedroom apartment, so it is, again, one of the smaller apartments that we have available across our accommodation portfolio. So this is a bit smaller. The ones at 7-9 do go up to 16 bedrooms, but they vary from 5 all the way up to 16, with some 8s and 7s in there as well. So as this is a 5-bedroom apartment, we have the one table where you can socialise, cook food together with the push in and out stools. So you can come and sit, play board games, whatever you decide to do once you move in. And very similar, we have all the appliances that you see are included with the kitchen. And then when you arrive at university, you can decide who's bringing the toaster, who's bringing, and all the little bits you need for you, like your pots and pans. But again, we will be releasing a list of what is included and what is not, and what you will need to bring. But our top tip is to bring enough for yourself, and then anything else that you might need, because when you get here, you might all decide to chip in and get a coffee machine, but do not worry, we'll make sure that you have all of that information available. So what actually is a really good perk for our accommodation, in university managed accommodation, we have a lot of benefits for our students. So for example, we have 24-hour security, we have an on-site maintenance team, all bills are inclusive, including a Wi-Fi, council tax. You do not need to worry about that. Water, electric, do not panic. It is all included in the rent that you will pay. And you also get your contents assurance. So if something happens, you spill a drink on your laptop, for example, do not worry. We have contents insurance included, and you just need to contact them and they will be able to assist you with any issues that you may have. One top tip, an amazing thing that we provide in the majority of our accommodations, is this little cupboard that hides away in each accommodation kitchen. And you can see that we provide the mop buckets, the iron, the hoover, the iron, the mop heads. It is all there for you. So you do not need to panic about bringing cleaning stuff. Not that that is an exciting thing that we all look forward to when we come to university, but we do provide it, so you can clean if you would like to. We also have the bins, so coloured bins to help distinguish between recycling and rubbish. We all have that there, and the bins are located locally, so just down the stairs, for the most of us in the bottom of the blocks with ease of access. So very similar to the Signet Wharf bedrooms, like Harriet said, you'll see the similarities across the majority of our accommodations. You have the long desk, so you can spread out for your studies, and then your drawers, which you can use for your clothes or your stationery. You do also have the overhead storage. As you can probably see, each is the same but slightly different, so very similar across the accommodation sites. And then in 179, we have a double wardrobe. If you're short like me, this might not be the best one for you, but you can get there with a bit of a stretch. And then we have the 3/4 bed. So the 179 has a 3/4 bed alongside the majority of our accommodations except Lincoln Court. And then we also have the storage around the bed as well. And then we'll just show you the bathroom. As you'll see, it is pretty much identical to the one you've just seen at Signet Wharf. And again, this is very similar across all of our accommodation sites. So a lot of you watching here will probably be interested in coming to university, might have your offers and all of that so far, and you might be thinking about applying for accommodation. You can come and see this flat that I'm in today and the flat that Harriet's in on the offer holder days or the informal open days. And if you can't get to us, do not panic. We have the 360 tours available on our website. So please go online and have a look at those. And you can see all the accommodations that we may not be able to offer a tour of in person, such as Lincoln Court and Valentine Court. So you can apply for accommodation from now. You can apply if you have already accepted your offer with the University of Lincoln and placed us as your firm or insurance choice. If you apply as an insurance offer holder, you can still apply, but we will not send you an accommodation offer until we become your firm choice. But your offer is there. We'll have an application there for you for if we do become your choice. But for your people who are applying and we are your first choice university, once we have the application, we will send you an offer to an accommodation site, and you will just need to accept this offer on our accommodation portal. When you accept the offer, you'll just have to pay a £49 down payment. If you are a returning student, you will not need to do this, as we've already done it for your first year. And that £49 down payment goes towards your first month's rent instalment. So this year you can pay for accommodation in 3 ways. You can pay either all up front, you can pay termly in line with student finance, or you can pay monthly. So when you are accepting your offer, please pick the payment plan that is best for you and best fits your student finance or budget in, or however you're going to pay for accommodation. So please bear that in mind. So as you can see, this is 179 High Street, and it's all very, very similar. The TV has the TV license that we provide if it's in the communal lounge, and if you have a separate one in your room, you will need to have a separate license. But that is everything from me at 179 High Street, and I'm sure that Harriet will answer any of the questions that you may be burning to ask about accommodation.
Thank you so much, Vicky. That was really lovely. I've not actually seen inside 179 High Street, so it was really lovely to see that. And you can see perfect timing. We've got a train just going past, so all of our viewers can see how close our accommodation is to our train station as well. So we are absolutely smack bang in the centre of Lincoln, and it perfectly viewed right there to see how close it is, and lots of students, when they choose to go home, travel on the train, so you can see quite how simple it is to get to the train station. So I can assure you, Vicky, we've got a whole host of questions, so thank you so much for that. Loads of people viewing, so a real big hello to everybody, and we've got viewers from around the globe today, which is amazing. Lots of people have even chosen their accommodation or are about to. So we're going to say bye to Vicky for now, and thank you very much. And then we're going to come back and ask some questions with Harriet. One of the questions that I have got, as Harriet comes back, I'll pick up one of the questions from Kira. Kira had asked the question, does she need to get her student finance in place before she applies for accommodation? Well, I'm going to answer that one up front. No, you don't, Kira. Student finance is open, so you can, it's been open now for 2 weeks, so you can, and it's open until, I think from memory, the 20th of May. So you've got a window now where you can apply for your student finance. Apply for your student finance now, but that does not impact your application for accommodation. You can still apply for your accommodation now. Accommodation is open at Lincoln for applications. So thank you for that. I think we might come back to one more of your questions actually in a moment, because I know you asked one a little bit earlier as well. So Harriet, lots of people are asking, so I'll ask you a sort of general question, because lots of people are asking payment terms and how we pay for our accommodation at Lincoln and what options we've got. So that might be sort of the first kick-off question, because several people have sort of asked that in a roundabout sort of way. So if you can answer that, that would be really helpful for the viewers.
Yeah, of course. So historically, we'll say the accommodation was paid in two different ways. You could pay upfront at the point of booking your accommodation, or you could pay termly. Now, the termly option is really popular for most students because it matches up when you get your maintenance loan. So, for example, you get your maintenance loan split into 3 instalments, and they match up the terms. So you might get your loan on Monday, and your accommodation will automatically come out on the Thursday. As an example, the dates obviously aren't set just yet. But it'll come in on one day and come out on the next day. And that's really popular because you don't really have to worry about it too much. You just need to make sure that the correct amount is in your account and it will come out automatically. New for this September that we're coming up to, so hopefully when lots of you will be joining us, we are doing monthly payments. And this will be really good if you are wanting to top up your sort of rent payment with a monthly income, maybe a part-time job, or you've got a parent or a guardian or a family member who's supporting you. So it might be that that monthly payment is then more popular for you and better suited. All you need to do is when you book your accommodation at the point of sort of accepting your offer is put down which payment term you would like and which one's best suited for you. And then it will all be automatically processed by our finance department on those set days. Oh, you're just on mute, Emma.
Failed straight away there. Thank you very much for that. So Harriet, Helen, Jessica, and I think somebody else have all asked, when do they find out which room that they're in? So they're burning to know where and when, which room they're likely to be in. So when do we notify those?
Yes, so this is the most exciting part, I think, once you sort of accepted Lincoln and applied for the accommodation. Unfortunately, it's a question that I can't give you a set date on just yet. So the way it works is that we wait until we get sort of a good amount of applications for the accommodation. We really start to get a sense on whether we're getting more first-year students, more returning students, more postgraduates, and then we begin allocating. So it will most likely be in the summertime, which I know is a little bit of a wait. So keep focus and keep your eyes on the prize because it is coming soon. But yeah, it will be in the summertime. The best thing to do is make sure that you've joined the Friends for Life scheme and also followed us in the university on social media. And as soon as we begin allocating, we'll start pushing this all out so you'll know that your allocations are coming. But yeah, sorry, it is still a little bit of a wait, but it's just so that we can make sure everyone is allocated in the best room for them.
But we got a step back from that, don't we? So even though they don't know which room they're in, so that mums and dads can send them their food parcels, we do probably know a little bit before then which accommodation block we're in, don't we? So the wait isn't quite as long for that, is it?
No, absolutely. So you will, we say it's about 5 days from applying for your accommodation to finding out which residence you've been allocated. So if you are sort of really active and checking your emails, once you've been allocated your accommodation, make sure you're making that £49 down payment because that is what's going to secure you your room. And if you've made that £49, say you've booked in at St Mark's, your room is secure. You're 100% going to be staying with us at St Mark's. It's just your exact room and number and block that will be a little bit of a waiting in the summertime to find out. And we will be doing Facebook groups, sort of probably like in the next couple of weeks. We'll set up these Facebook groups and you'll be able to go on there and start putting down, as I can see you all doing in the chat, which is great, that you'll maybe living in 179 or St Mark's, and you'll start to meet other students who are also getting ready to move in. So that'll be a really nice way just to start meeting people whilst you're waiting for your actual room number.
Absolutely. That's the conversations like Vicky was mentioning on her tour. They're the conversations where we don't end up with 12 or 16 toasters, isn't it? We can sort of choose our coffee machine or our toaster to bring. I'm looking at it, we've got Ella, we've got Nicola, who have both asked a similar question about mixed gender accommodation, or if we've got any single gender accommodation at all. So is there any sort of preference, or how do we work that out?
Yeah, so students can say if they would like to be in a single gender apartment, and that is something that our team will do their best to allocate you to. If not, the standard is that we will mix, and we try and keep it sort of a even split, but again, it depends on how many of each gender we're getting applying for that accommodation. But if you do feel like you'd be more comfortable or you just prefer to be in a single gender apartment, then please do let us know when you're booking your accommodation, and we'll really try our best to accommodate that.
That's amazing. Thank you. there was a question earlier, and I apologise right now because I've missed the name, about is there a deadline for booking accommodation? So obviously we know it's open. Well, we're not desperate. That sounds wrong. We are desperate for you to get on and join us. But is there a deadline? Is there a deadline as to when people can book their accommodation?
Yeah, so things get a little bit more complicated once the contracts have started for next year, which unfortunately I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe it's very early October. So it's sort of that first week of October. Up until then, you can apply for accommodation and be allocated and move in really easily. Our accommodation sort of arrivals period will be sort of probably like the last week of September. Again, it's something that the team is just starting to finalise at the minute. And that's when most students will move in. We do tend to have students who afterwards kind of go, oh, that looks quite exciting, actually. I'd like to come and live in St. Mark's. And so there's still the option to do it there. But yeah, it's sort of September, October time. So there's plenty of time left for you to sort of apply and get booked in if you'd like to.
Amazing, thank you. And Alicia Gibson, I've not missed your question. I know this is the second time that you've asked. So Alicia has asked, do electrical appliances need testing beforehand? Which is a really good question.
It is a good question. So you do not need to test any of your electrical appliances beforehand. That is something that our team will sort of look after. The operations team tend to do some pat testing, but if this is going forward, then you will be let know sort of like well in advance that it's something that is taking place. There are certain items that we ask you not to bring. For example, fairy lights, which are wall powered, are one of those, but you're more than welcome to bring battery operated ones. And a full list of everything that you are and aren't allowed to bring in terms of electrical items will come out in the summer as well. But no, it's not something that you need to worry about. That's for us.
Amazing. We've got loads of questions. I love this. We've got loads and loads of questions. It makes it all exciting when we're getting all of these things fitting into place for everybody. So one of the questions that I can see, or I did see a little earlier, and don't worry, I will try and get to as many questions as I possibly can, but one of them was around sort of visitors. So if students, mature students particularly, can have visitors into their accommodation. So if you're able to answer that, Harriet.
Yeah, of course. So you are allowed a visitor in your accommodation. At the minute, you're allowed sort of like 3 to 4 nights a week. Obviously, our accommodation is single occupancy, so you are not allowed to have someone living here, but you're more than welcome to have friends or family or partners or anything like that come and stop. We do have a very strict rule that you are not allowed under 18s, and that's just sort of from a legal side of thing and the type of insurance that we have with it being student and adult accommodation. Now, we know that a few people like to bring partners, and especially with the international students who are often traveling over with a family. So we have just introduced dual studios, so dual occupancy studios at the Gateway. Now we do have quite a small number at the minute, and hopefully in the September time, this is something that we'll be able to increase. But if you are thinking, I know I sort of saw a comment earlier about it, that you'd like to come to Lincoln and stay with us and you are bringing a partner or husband or wife, anything like that, then please do drop accommodation a message. All of our details are in the comment section, and our team of administrators will be able to look into that for you.
Amazing, thank you. Claire White's got a question. If I don't pay the down payment, so the £49 for the offer of accommodation immediately, will I have to apply again? So that's again a really, really good question. So if they've applied, haven't paid the down payment by the deadline, do they have to restart, I guess is a question.
Yeah, no, great question. So there are 14 days from making the application and sort of getting the offer back for you to pay that £49 down payment. If after those 14 days you haven't made it, the application will automatically withdraw and you will need to reapply for the accommodation. However, if there is a reason that you aren't able to make that £49 yet, or you sort of are aware and you still want the room, just drop accommodation a message, because it's very much a manual process. So if there's a good reason behind it, we can sort of make a little note that you are getting ready to pay it and keep it reserved for you.
Amazing, thank you. So please, as Olivia, who is our producer this afternoon, is doing, she's putting the contact details along the bottom. So if you have a reason why you're not able to pay that £49 up front, please email or ring the accommodation team. They are more than happy to help, and it's always better to sort of contact up front than start the process from scratch again, really. Olivia, no, not Olivia. Olivia's our producer. Oliver has got a question. When do we find out about move-in days? So we're moving along the process very swiftly this evening, and all these applicants are ready to move in. So when do we find out about moving in days, and what happens on a moving in day?
Yeah, so another really big question, a really exciting sort of next step. Now, the way it will work is that in probably like August time, so it'll be late in the summer, you will get an email from Accommodation Services that says that the online induction is ready on the student portal. So the student portal is where you will have booked your accommodation, and you will need to go on there and complete the online induction. So this will include things like your health and safety for living with us, and putting down for your contents insurance. So as Vicky mentioned, you get £5,000 contents insurance sort of free with living at Lincoln. So making sure that you've signed up for that and got everything sorted. And then you will be asked to book an arrival slot for moving in. So the arrival slot time will be a set period. It's most likely to be about an hour to an hour and a half. And there will be various different days depending on which accommodation you're moving into. Now, this is because with certain residencies, we have car parking, or we have a space where we can really easily allocate for parking. And at other options, such as Viking House, we hire out the car park of the council next door, or we hire out a close by car park so that there's somewhere for you to leave your car and really safely offload and get moved in. So if you see that one accommodation has maybe slightly different days and yours doesn't, or anything like that, just please know that there is sort of a good reason behind it. And if it's a problem or you're not sure, to drop us a message. So you will need to book in for that arrival time, and you'll be given your arrival instructions. Now, please make sure that you do read these, and whoever is bringing you, if someone is bringing you, make sure that they've read them as well. And then if you're both not sure, read them again and drop us an email. It's really, really important that you know where you're going, you know the arrival time, you know where you're asked to sort of park. It may be that you're sent to a holding area as opposed to straight to the residence. And so yeah, please just make sure that you've read that and you know exactly where you're going. It's going to make the day a lot more smooth. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we haven't 100% confirmed when the arrival period will be yet. Off the top of my head, and Emma, please correct me if I'm wrong, the welcome week starts on the 25th of September, on the Monday. Yeah, I never know if it's 25th or 26th. Yeah, brilliant. Perfect. So the arrivals week will likely start the week before that. So then you've got a nice sort of week to settle in, get to know your housemates, and get ready to start your studies. I do know that a few courses are starting on the 19th of September. So if that is you, if you've applied for a course where it's saying, you know, you're actually going to be starting earlier, please don't worry. We are very aware of this. We're just working with the college directly to get a day which is going to suit you all best. But you will 100% be able to move into your accommodation ahead of starting your course and still have those few days to sort of get settled as well. Yeah, hopefully that answers it. Can't quite give you a set date yet, but August, September time, you'll start getting those online inductions, and that's the next big step for you once you have made your £49 down payment and got your room.
It certainly is. And one of my top tips really is to check your junk mail. So please check your junk emails quite regularly. It's something that's often overlooked. So that's my first tip. My second tip is then share that email with your parents. Share it with whoever is going to bring you to Lincoln, so they've got all of those details. So you're sharing the load with all of those instructions, so that you are making sure that the journey and the arrival time is as stress-free for your family as possible. So we've got even more questions. It's great. We've got so many questions. Loads of people look like they're moving into Valentine Court, and they're already making friends on their group chat, which is amazing. That's incredible. So that's really good. We've got a question here. Do I need to firm my offer before I hear if I've got the accommodation I've applied for? So that is a yes, really, isn't it? But
yeah, so if you have applied for university managed accommodation, you won't be able to apply for the accommodation unless Lincoln is your firm or insurance choice. So it could be that you've maybe made us your insurance choice, and that's why you're sort of questioning it. So you won't be able to apply until that point. If we are your firm choice, then the process goes forward. Obviously, it does matter. Please do keep working hard. But if you don't get the grades, or you do get the grades, then that doesn't affect your accommodation application. If we are your insurance choice, if on results day we then become your first choice, we will pick up the application, and it will be on that next stage where you're asked to make the £49 down payment. And if for whatever reason we don't become your firm choice, then you don't need to worry. Basically, it's something that we just sort out on our side. So hopefully that answered that question. If it doesn't, please do drop sort of an add-on question in and we'll answer that for you.
Yeah, please do. If there's still any unanswered questions, please ask them. If something isn't making sense to you. One of the questions that I would have, Harriet, is there's lots of international students this afternoon. This afternoon for us, but I'm sure it's not this afternoon wherever you are. They will not probably be able to fit into that schedule of arrival. As you've sort of indicated that week. So what happens if you're an international student viewing?
Yeah, so international students, you will have a huge amount of support from the international team here. They are brilliant at making sure that you've got loads of information and you know when you're arriving and moving in and everything like that. So they are a great place to start, and they will most likely send you out a lot of sort of information nearer the time. If you find that you are coming on a set day, please get in touch with accommodation. Let us know when you're arriving. Let us know how you're planning on arriving, and we can see what we can do to sort of sort you out, basically. If you are arriving past the arrivals week, then your room will definitely be ready and you can sort of move in. If it's a case that you're arriving quite a bit earlier, maybe that's the only plane you can get or something like that, and then we can see what we can do, but it might be that you can't move into your actual room just yet. So yeah, best thing, drop us an email as soon as you've got that information and we will support you and get you sorted when you arrive.
Fabulous, thank you very much. Lots of questions in different formats that I've seen this afternoon about how many people stay in St Mark's, how many rooms in a flat. We've seen sort of you're in a smaller flat in Signet Wharf, but I've seen lots of larger flats, up to about 12 sort of people in a flat, isn't there? So can you give us a bit of an overview, because that will help people choose their accommodation, I think, and the pros and cons of big and smaller flats, really, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So it's all down to, I guess, your preference in many ways. As I said, if you do have a preference on sort of the size of your apartment, please do let us know, because if we can sort of allocate you to that, then we 100% will. On average, most of the accommodations are between sort of like a 5 and a 12 bed, and it's the higher end, so more your 6 to 8 to 12s that you tend to find. And then you have the odd exceptions, such as Viking House, which has apartments up to 24 beds. That can sound like a really big number. The communal spaces get massively bigger depending on how many apartments are in there. So with that really big apartment at Viking House, there is a completely separate living area. And there's also sort of 3 kitchens in one by the time you sort of put in the divider walls. So even though those sizes are bigger, there is still plenty of space. But in general, you're probably looking at between 8 and 12 beds, especially at St Mark's. I know a few of the questions have been about St Mark's. You're looking between a 6 and a 12, but most an 8 to a 12. And in total, there are just under 1,500 rooms at St Mark's. So it's quite big, but it's across 10 blocks. And yeah, hopefully that helps. There's sort of a big range, but yeah, sort of Lincoln Court and St Mark's are our biggest sites. And then you get sort of slightly smaller sites, such as the Gateway and 179 High Street.
Amazing, thank you. So more questions. Lucy is having a panic, obviously. First thing, don't panic, Lucy, that you won't get your grades. But her question is, what if I don't get the grades, but I've paid the down payment for her accommodation, which is something that I'm sure other people will be secretly panicking. And so firstly, I would say congratulations, Lucy, for being upfront and asking that question, because I bet lots of people are thinking that.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a question that we get a lot. So you're not alone in sort of thinking about it. You don't need to worry in the slightest. If that is the case, the £49 is refunded to the payment card that you sort of used to make it. And that's it, really. We sort it all for you. So don't worry.
Absolutely. Because they're amazing, the accommodation team of experts. We've got a question about Wi-Fi. Is there Wi-Fi on campus? And there is.
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi.
And we've got evidence of Harriet and Vicky being on campus in accommodation, working off their Wi-Fi. So yes, that is the answer to that one, which is nice and easy. Alicia is going to be the cleaner of the accommodation. So Alicia has a question. Is a cleaning cupboard provided in studios?
No, it's a great question. There actually isn't a cleaning cupboard provided in the studios. Obviously, these are your own space, so it's kind of up to you on which items you think you would use the most that you can bring.
Fabulous. Next question from Thomas. Hi, Thomas. What is the process if you want to change accommodation once you're on campus? So again, a really good question.
Yeah, so it's really important, as I keep saying, that you feel really comfortable in your accommodation and that you can make it your own. So if for whatever reason, at any point throughout the year, you don't feel happy in your accommodation, or maybe you've made friends elsewhere and you'd really like to move, you can speak with the accommodation team. It will be the administrators of the buildings that sort of help you. And there is the option to put in a request to move rooms. So let's say you're living at St. Mark's and you'd really like to go to Valentine Court. We will send you a list of the rooms that are available there, and then we can schedule a one-to-one viewing where you can have a wander around, really get a feel for the space. And if there's a room that you would feel more happy in, we can look at getting you moved over there. So yeah, not something to worry about. We can get you sorted.
And it probably a supplementary sort of question that I would ask really, Harriet, is if somebody is feeling sort of a little bit homesick, because that's totally normal, and it comes across in waves when you don't expect it, not always in Freshers Week or the first week. We've got a bit of a support mechanism here at Lincoln as well. So do you want to just give us a bit of an overview of what the Resident Warden service is all about?
Yeah, of course. So the residential wardens are an amazing group of students who are either recent graduates or maybe more mature students, or students doing a higher level of study. So often a little bit older, and they live amongst you in the accommodations, and they are there every evening from 6 p.m. till 12 a.m. to offer you support. So as Emma said, it may be that you're just feeling a little bit homesick, or it could be that you're maybe worried about a flatmate and they don't see themselves, and you just want someone to speak to that isn't a staff member and it isn't another peer that you're living with, but someone that you can trust and sort of have a really honest conversation with. And they're also there to help you maybe with studying if you're not too sure how to get your head down or you're struggling. But as well as doing all of that sort of one-to-one support, they also run loads of activities and events which are exclusive for students living in university managed accommodation. And what's really nice there is, as well as doing things like board game nights and games nights, if you are thinking, I'm really excited to be here, but actually I feel nervous about wandering around by myself to start with, I'm not too sure where I'm going, anything like that, you can let the warden know and they might be able to pop down and meet you at your door and wander you over to the event that you'd like to go to. So like I said, they're an amazing bunch. They're really there to support you and sort of be an extension of our team, and just help you find your feet whilst you're living with us.
Brilliant. A couple more questions. So Favour has asked a question. Are there student studio apartments? Which I know there is, but if you want to sort of explain to Favour where they are.
Yeah, so there are studio apartments in 3 of our accommodations. The first is Viking House. So we have 17 studio apartments there, and they were brand new for this year. We then have apartments in 179 High Street, and they are on the top floor, so you get amazing views. And if you're lucky, you're on the side of the cathedral, which is even better. And then the final accommodation is the Gateway, and this is where we have the most studio apartments. And you do find that with the Gateway and Viking House, there's a communal living room as well. So it's quite nice to still have that space where you can all sit down and watch TV together, but you've got your own cooking facilities and living space as well.
It definitely is. Lucy's asked yet another great question. Thank you, Lucy. She's chosen to stay in St. Mark's, which is amazing. And if you've watched any of our previous lives or last week's live, you'll have seen St. Mark's as well. Will I be in a flat with people in different years to me? That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah, so as a first year student, you will only be allocated rooms with other first year students. So you will not be mixed with anyone else. It depends on the residency that you choose, whether this will be done by block or by floor. So St. Mark's, for example, will likely be per block, so everyone will be a first year. Whereas with other accommodations, maybe Viking House, it might be per floor and per apartment. After that, if you choose to live with us in second or third year, we do then mix students. So you can live with all different years. And then finally, if you choose to be a postgraduate student and live with us, then you will be allocated with other postgraduates. There are some sort of slight variations in that. Maybe if you're doing a short, like a semester staying as opposed to a full year, then it might be that you're a third year student living with a postgraduate, for example. But as a first year, you will definitely only be living with other first years.
Amazing. Another question, and we're probably getting to the end of wrapping this up and but please don't think that you need to stop asking questions at this point. You don't. There's lots of avenues to ask your questions through the cycle. Will pillows and blankets be provided? Which is another really good question, and especially for our international students who won't be arriving with cars full of their stuff. So a good question.
Yeah, so we don't provide pillows or blankets. We also really recommend that you bring a mattress topper if you sort of have a preference on how your mattress is. Because I know some students like a really squishy one and some students maybe like a bit more of a firm one. So we don't provide it. It is something that you need to bring. If you're an international student, there are loads of really close stores and supermarkets nearby where you'll be able to pick up the items that you need. And as soon as you arrive, just let one of the team know that you're looking for this and we can sort you out and sort of direct you.
And literally, as Harriet said, we are talking sort of a 5-minute walk to go and get those. There's plenty of sort of outlets probably within like a 2-minute walk actually to get those supplies. And as term starts, they absolutely stock up ready for us as students. So Helen has asked a question. Thank you, Helen. Will there be a Valentine Court tour? Helen, I don't think there is one planned in this sort of way, but Harriet might be able to help to direct if there are any sort of viewing of Valentine Court on any of our channels at all.
Yeah, I've seen lots of questions about Valentine's, so it's great to see how many of you are sort of interested in it. Unfortunately, we don't at the minute have any plans to do tours of Valentine, and that is mainly because of how popular it's been this year. So all of our rooms are really nice and full, which is great, but it does mean that we can't get in there. We do have the 360 tour online, so that's a really nice way, although I appreciate it's not quite the same, but that is a nice way to get a feel for the accommodation. And soon we'll be releasing a bit more imagery as well, so at least you can get a better feel for what that looks like. As I said, please do give us a follow on social media if you have it, because if an opportunity does come up where we can get into a room, I'll make sure I pop in there and get a video and post it on our channel so you can see.
Thank you very much. Just to verify, you do get mattresses on your bed. So there will be mattresses. It is only the bedding that you will sleep with. So pillows and whatever sort of quilt, duvets, that you want. But mattresses will definitely be on the beds.
Please don't all bring mattresses.
Nicole, has asked the question, and I think this will probably have to be maybe our last question really. Can she change accommodation after, well, the question is, can I change accommodation choice after I have accepted my first choice, or would I need to wait until I get to campus? So that's again a really good question actually.
Yeah, and at this early stage, it's something that we can do. So all I say is if you definitely don't want to be in the first choice and maybe there's another option that you prefer, just drop the team an email and let them know all the information. And if we can swap you over, we will. It's likely that we'll probably cancel your current booking and ask you to rebook again, but we'll have plenty of spaces. So yeah, don't worry, just drop us an email.
Amazing. Just one final question from Joshua, which is again a really valid question. Is there a laundrette, washing machines on site? Now, I know there is, but I think Harriet will tell you how many we've got and how they work.
Yes, I don't know if I could tell you how many. That's putting me on the spot. Yes, we do have laundry facilities across all of the accommodations. These are all looked after by a company called Circuit Laundry. So there is a big variety of washing machines and then dryers. And you top it up on either a card or an app. So it's nice and easy. It tells you when the machines are done. And you can just pop your bits in there and then go off. If you're staying in Valentine Court, these machines are provided in the kitchens, and everywhere else it's a separate block, but still really close to sort of where you'll stay in.
Brilliant. And so basically go along with your housemates when you first arrive and figure it all out, but please allow some cash and budget for your washing, which is something that probably you don't always granted, or you certainly take for granted when you live at home, but you will need a bit of spare cash to be able to do your weekly washing. Just one question from Crystal. They keep coming through, Harriet. I'm sorry about this, but it's also great. Would the £49 just get carried over if you were to change accommodation?
Yeah, so it's all down to how the administrator changes your accommodation. As I said, it's more than likely that you'd be asked to we'd cancel your current booking and ask you to rebook. So then that £49 would be refunded and then you'd have to remake it. And if there's a way that they can just swap you over directly, then it would be carried over.
Amazing. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to call it there. There's still questions coming in, which is great. Oh, one last question. I'm sorry, because I've seen this numerous times already. If somebody wishes to move in before September, what steps do they need to do? I'm assuming that for whatever reason, they will be arriving in Lincoln prior to sort of our moving in weekend. So is there a mechanism that we can work out if somebody is arriving earlier than September?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is just drop us an email, because it will be so specific depending on where you're stopping when you do arrive with us and when you are arriving. And so yeah, that will be the best way on sort of confirming the answer for that, but it may be something that we can look into.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you massively to Harriet, who has been inundated with lots of questions, and I'm incredibly impressed with all of your knowledge. To Vicky over in 179 High Street, thank you so much, Vicky. And what I would say is, please don't stop there. Please join your groups. Join Friends for Life, so that as soon as your accommodation groups are open, you can join those and continue this sort of dialogue of conversation that you're having. The other thing is direct any sort of accommodation questions via email or phone, but also there are very active Instagram and Facebook accommodation sites. Now, there is lots and lots of footage on a daily basis on those sites, so please join those. If that's one thing you do before you log off today, it is join those social media groups for accommodation, because they will give you lots of information. And of course, you can always DM on those as well if you have any questions. So I'm going to say thank you so much to everybody. Thank you so much, Harriet. And we will look forward to seeing you all in September. Thank you very much and good night.